and welcome to I Saw Him Today. Now, I don't know much about this game, but in my line of depressing games, this game does have to do with aspects of suicide and suicidal tendencies. Just saying that out there. I decided to play this game. Also, I am very tired today, and I don't feel the greatest as well. So let's just play this game. I saw him today. He has longer, messier hair now. He's wearing casual street clothes. They don't look completely new, but they're definitely not old and worn. That's good. Got a nice fresh look. There's a look of boredness on his face. He doesn't want to be on the subway much longer. He's glued to his phone, absent-mindedly flicking through apps, notifications, something. Is he talking to someone? Who? Is it me? The subway comes to a halt as we reach the next station. More people pile on. Oh, whoa, that's actually kind of nice. I think this is also a text-driven game, so this will be more of a slower video. He doesn't look my direction. I'm thankful. I wouldn't know what to say. Instead, I just stand there with my mouth hanging open, staring at him like a stalker. That's creepy. Could this situation get any more weirder? It's been years. A few long, long years since I last saw him. Aw, they're so happy together. We were best friends in elementary school. He was like an older brother to me, even though he was only a few months older. Close enough. He was the type of friend who had an extra toothbrush and blankets for me at his house, and the same for him at mine. Oh, that's heartwarming. That's nice. I like that. It sounds almost cliche, but we really would spend almost every day together. That's friendship at its finest. I didn't have many friends, being the new kid at the school. I can feel you there, buddo. Buddo. What the fuck does that mean? But when I arrived, he welcomed me with open arms. Oh. We lived only a couple blocks from each other. It was perfect. When it was hot, we watched TV and played video games. When it was cool, we would ride our bikes in the park. It was simple back then. That's good. Wow, you guys almost have identical long hair. I never had that long of hair. Things started getting more complicated towards the end of middle school. We only had a couple classes together then. We would eat lunch together when we could, but more and more often he would go straight home. Sometimes he had homework, sometimes he had a cold, sometimes he just wanted to go home alone. Well, in this situation, you gotta respect people's privacy. You can't be that one person. You know the one. I was in middle school. I didn't have to deal with bills, or work hours, or doctor visits, but I did have to worry about him. We would go a couple weeks at times without saying much to each other, and then he'd spring back one day and act like we were inseparable. Oh god, I know where this is going. I'd be late for class some days just trying to talk to him for a bit longer, but he was usually uninterested. He would test me, trying to see how long I could go before crawling back. That doesn't sound healthy. It worried me. Had I done something wrong? Had I made him mad? Had I insulted him? Had I pushed him away? Of course I hadn't. As my anxiety increased over the following months, I tried even harder to spend time with him. If he went home alone, I would go over late to see if he wanted to hang out. If he had a late lunch, I would be late going back to class and sit with him. It was always me trying to make more time with him, but not the other way around. Oh, that sucks. Like, this kid is obviously going out of his way to be with this kid, but come on. I would try to show him stuff to impress him, to show him I was worth being a friend too, like my good grades or awards or just anything. He used to love showing me his accomplishments, but he always turned his head and would go back to ignore me. This is how life went on for the rest of middle school and into high school. We would be inseparable one month and distant the next. Every time I always thought it was my fault. Dude, it's not your fault. Every single time. It's not your fault. It's this guy's fault. He's ignoring you. You're clearly being a very, very good friend. You just can't see that. Why is his face scratched out? We came to another stop. Some people get off the subway. Some people get on. There's more people. He doesn't move. I don't know what stop he's waiting for. My own stop is only a few more ahead. But I'm not sure if I'll be getting off on that stop. It looks like he hasn't changed a bit. Physically, yes, he's now an inch or two taller than me. The tips of his hair are dyed, but his roots aren't showing. The little acne he had in high school is gone. Well, that's good, but mentally, I don't think he could ever change. What does that mean? Halfway through high school, I had to move. That sucks, that really does, because I've had to move multiple times as well. And just getting up and leaving, it's probably one of the worst feelings ever. Dad found a better paying job a few hours away in a place cheaper to live. It was a natural move. Economics and all that shit. You gotta consider that. I wasn't worried about the new school or the move or the lack of friends. I was worried about him. How was he going to take it? Would I lose contact with him? Would we be able to stay friends? Of course you should stay friends. This is the generation you've got a cell phone. Just, if you want to talk to somebody, just text them, call them, FaceTime them, anything. I almost made myself sick waiting for the next time to tell him. Oh, don't do that. I invited him over to stay the night. We played video games and procrastinated doing homework, and then ate dinner. Afterwards, I told him, what about me? My parents said it was a natural response. Wait, is the purple text... No, the pink text, is that the friend? He's still a kid after all. Of course, he'd think about himself first. And I believed them, mostly. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to leave him behind. I didn't want to feel guilty about leaving him behind. What is that purple text? I don't like that purple text. Pink text, God. Colorblind. I left that summer in the dead, dry heat. He didn't come back over. I texted him at least 100 times before I left, just trying to talk to him even for a bit. Sometimes he'd respond with a short answer, sometimes he wouldn't respond at all. In hindsight, the move saved me a lot of stress. I was so busy packing, unpacking, getting ready for my new school, that I just didn't have the time to worry about him not answering. It was in the back of my mind, sure, but I was so busy that I was able to convince myself that he'd respond eventually. And naturally, he did. A couple times. He texted me first a few times, nothing major, just some small talk. Just enough for him to stay relevant. Going to another new school in the middle of high school wasn't as hard as I had thought it would be, at least for me. I probably fucking butchered that sentence. I tried out for the baseball team and made the cut. I quickly made a new set of friends, more than I had at my old school. I even went to homecoming with some new friends, Eve, something I never would have done before. That's good. I was happy. That's amazing. I was moving on. That's less than okay, but in some circumstances, it's good. He couldn't have that. Couldn't have what? We reach another stop. Downtown is up ahead, so more people pile on. God, it's just filling up. The tracks screech and the subway lurches forward as we continue on. Should I get off on his stop? Should I approach him? What would I say to him? Thanks for trying to ruin my life? What is this pink text? Maybe it'd be better to let him go. I don't like remembering that year. The year he died. Oh, that sent chills down my spine. I knew that was coming. Oh my god. I was situated into school nicely. I was starting my second trimester there, so it was winter. It was a colder, drearier winter than I was used to back in my old school. It snowed every week. Sometimes I wasn't used to it. Something I wasn't used to. Hey. The first time it snowed there, which was about 2 feet, I sent a picture to him. We rarely talked anymore. But I was fine with that. I innocently thought that we were still good friends, and one day we started talking again like normal. That's when I got the text. He's dead. Oh, God. Oh, my God. That's sad. That's really sad. I'm not gonna start crying, but that's sad. It was a long-winded text from a friend at the old school. He had overdosed, trying to kill himself. He was in a coma. He was going to die, and it was my fault. No, it's not your fault. I got another text from a different acquaintance a couple hours later. God. He's in the hospital on life support. He didn't know how he got there, but he was in bad shape. And it was my fault. No, it's not your fault. It might... Okay, I'm not even gonna go there. Over the course of that night and the next few days, it seemed like the whole school found my social media and or phone number and were messaging me. He cut himself trying to off himself. He drove his truck into a tree on purpose. He jumped off a bridge because he didn't want to live anymore. The details were all jumbled up. It was hard to tell what was real and what people had made up when they heard the words suicide attempt. But one fact remained. He was in the hospital and badly hurt. So see him! Go see him! You have to have a car at this point. Go see him! The ringing never stopped. Every time I went online or looked at my phone, I had another notification. Everyone wanted to know why. Okay, this is probably the worst part, because I know a few people who have dealt with this situation, and trying to figure out why somebody would do this kind of thing, and you not knowing the person personally, it sucks for the people that know it, because it's just annoying. Like, they don't want to relive this, so why ask? It's just... Okay, in this situation, do not ask. Do not press anything. They will tell you when they're comfortable. That's just what you do. It's called common courtesy. What happened to make him do that? What was he thinking? Why did I push him to it? Why had I pushed him to it? I didn't know why. I never could have realized why. The assumption was that he had always been depressed, and me moving away and ignoring him had been too much. I believed it. I fully, truly, absolutely believed it. No. It's not. You couldn't have done anything. Yes, you could have texted him more, but he was being distant. This isn't your fault. It's partially your fault, but you texting him 1 billion times and him not responding, just small talk, signifies he doesn't want to talk. It was my fault. Who else's could it have been? His! It's his fault! He ignored you. I had never known what depression really was until then. It was by far the lowest point of my life. The months following, I ran myself ragged with guilt. I felt worthless. He was released from the hospital soon after being admitted. Thank God, is he alive? I didn't know how long he spent there. Everyone told me different times. Some say he woke up a few hours after arriving and was released the next day. Others said he spent weeks in care. Whenever he was asked why, he said the same sob story. He left me. He hurt me. Oh God. Oh God. Of course, that's not what it was at all. I was young and naive. At first glance, he was just a selfish, depressed kid. I don't know. But as I grew older, I realized the truth. He was a user. He thrived off of attention and people giving it to him. But he went about getting it in abusive, manipulative ways. He was always seeing how far I could go before I needed him again. How long I could go after being ignored by him. He never cared about what I could do. He only wanted me to be impressed by what he could do. And when he found out he was losing his grip on me, that I could live fine without going back to him, he made sure I would crawl back. I can't imagine what kind of state of mind he was in to fully believe hurting himself that much was worth it. When I look back at it all, I realized how perfect a target I was. I was the new kid at school and I was so young, so impressionable. I had a hard time fitting in and making friends. That's where he came in. He helped me through it, helped show me around, helped me get used to this new place. At that time, I really liked to think that he didn't have any ill intentions. That he was just a kid and saw another kid struggling and wanted to help. But he got a taste of being the center of attention and wouldn't let it go. Oh my God. See, not your fault. This guy is a manipulative bastard. We reached the last stop before going downtown. A couple people in the back get off, but more people get on. Hello, lady. My heart jolts when I think you might be getting off at this to stop, but it settles back down when I see he's just shifting his weight. There's too many people on here. There's not enough space for us all. Wait. So he didn't kill himself? He tried, but he didn't? So he's still alive? What? I can barely see him now. I don't want to get closer. Not yet. I still can't decide what to do. I grab my phone and contemplate messaging someone. The person who helped me through it. God, this is a long game. It was a couple months after his attempt. I was sitting there at home, tired from another day at school, another day seeing more notifications. At first I had been answering them, replying back, explaining myself, saying how sorry I was, how I hoped he would forgive me, and to pass it on. But after a while, I was just deleting them, reading them to get the icon away, trying to forget about them. Some of them seemed to think I really was the problem. Some of them just wanted to hear my side. They all started to blur together as the weeks went on. Except for one. It's okay. Her post felt different. She was an acquaintance from that school. I had spoken to her a few times before, but she was more a friend of his than of mine. She wanted to know more about what had happened, and said she was a friend of his. But she also asked how I was doing, if I was okay. I was tired, so I thought it would go like the rest of the conversations. Wow, that sucks, or you two should talk it out, or I'm sorry about that. But it didn't. After I explained it to her, I could imagine her almost laughing, not at me, but more as a confirmation. That sounds just like him. She took over talking and started telling me all about what she'd seen, how he tried to pull the same thing on her. He loved being the center of attention, but he couldn't do much. Rather than try out for different sports teams or clubs, he kept to his small group of friends and wanted praise for nothing. For her, there was less of an escape, but it was also easier to deal with him. She just talked to him every so often and acted like she cared. We stayed up the rest of the night just talking, making each other laugh by sharing stories. I told her about the time when we got lost in the woods and the sun was starting to set. It had been scary at the time, but it was funny now. I'm studying to be a doctor now, but I still maintain that night, where I laughed longer than I had in months, was more cathartic than a lot of medicine out there. That's good. Laughter is the best medicine, honestly. It can make people feel a lot better when they're not feeling the best or they're down. The subway slows down as we approach downtown. Almost everyone on board gets ready to disembark. He looks towards the door. Is this his stop? It's been years. If I let him go, will I ever see him again? Will I ever want to see him again? Will I be able to walk away, guilt-free? Will I be lying awake tonight, angered that I didn't stop him? What could I say to him? What would I want to say to him? God, I can't read anymore. I've been reading too much. The door is open. Schlunk. What? That's the end? What? Okay. That was interesting. I really liked that game. Like, a lot of talking. Definitely a lot of talking. So, again, sorry if that's not your kind of video, but I really like that. It kind of shows you that this person who tried taking their own life, they weren't like, I don't know, they weren't like that typical face of depression. They were manipulative. They sought attention, and when he didn't get that, he tried to off himself. But that ends this playthrough. Like this video if you liked it, and you can consider subscribing. And I will see you when I see ya. Bye! Hello everybody, and welcome to the Try Not to Cry challenge with you, the man who will teach you to be MLG. What?